Oh, hey there. Welcome to the Ope Three-Way Pro Wrestling Podcast. On this episode number 20, I think. I hope we're doing this for real this time, boys. We're doing this for real, right? How we feeling?
Is this 20.1, 20.2?
It's 20.5. It's technically 21. Unfortunately, our episode 20 that we recorded on Sunday had technical difficulties. But we're here now, so...
Live and in living color.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, like we had ourselves in a lost episode there. You know, not too many people get those, and a lot of people see those as nice little Easter eggs. Unfortunately, ours kind of came up rotten, but I figure, yeah, why not? Why don't we just give the people an idea what we were kind of going over for there? Yeah.
Well, we don't think it's a good idea for me to post 2 hours of me talking to myself on Spotify.
I mean, I guess it depends on who you ask, but
No,
I mean, if you ask me,
I'm sure Marta, our number one fan, would love it. Shout out, Marta.
Hey.
No, actually,
Shout out, Marta.
She'd be like, I heard enough of this guy. I don't need to hear him talk about stuff with really weird and awkward pauses for 2 straight hours.
Now that's true love.
Yes. Maybe we could clip a little bit and piece of it here and there. We'll see. But no, we're going to review real quick what we talked about there, which was Survivor Series War Games and also Deadline. Happened over the span of that show. So we're going to do rapid fire on the results there. Then afterwards, we're going to talk about the women's midcard in WWE and what's going on right now with the 2 tournaments that they're having. That is the United States and Intercontinental Championship tournaments. Then we're going to transition that into Saturday night's main event, which is this coming Saturday. And the last part we'll do is we'll talk about some transfer portal, multiverse of madness, fantasy booking, where we talk about who goes where in the inevitable build up to the Netflix debut on January 6th. But as always, first and foremost, we must do one thing, and that is...
I thought you wanted to plug our socials first.
I fucked up the order.
We can plug our socials on this day.
On this day, follow us on X/Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. I think that's it. Maybe, of course, Spotify if you're listening. But on this day... Oh, God, not this again. 1997. Commissioner Sergeant Slaughter sets up a European Championship match between champion Shawn Michaels, who at this time is also the WWF champion post Screwjob, and his DX partner Triple H. Everybody's seen this match. It's 2 minutes. All it is theatrics. It's funny. Triple H becomes the new European champion.
Whatever happened to that guy? Really, that bad?
Yeah.
Man. Whew.
Speaking of Triple H, we're going to jump to 2014 and talk about his baby, NXT. NXT TakeOver R Evolution takes place from Full Sail University, the original home of NXT. The show is known for 2 things. The debut of Kevin Owens defeating CJ Parker, who would in the future become Rock Hard Juice Robinson. And CJ Juice broke his nose by accident when he hit Kevin Owens with his palm strike finisher. And then Kevin Owens wins, and in the main event, in one of the longest running storylines of that year, Sami Zayn finally defeats Adrian Neville to become the NXT champion. The whole story was Sami was too nice of a guy, couldn't pull the trigger, and then he finally did, and he became champion. And one of the
Adrian Neville...
Oh, go ahead,
Sorry, go ahead. No, you go ahead.
In one of the first end-of-show shocks, Kevin Owens, the entire locker room come out to celebrate. One of the big things was that Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn were best friends. As they're walking off, Kevin Owens turns heel And for the first time in his WWE career, he hits somebody with the apron powerbomb.
Yeah, the Kevin Owens run was great. Adrian Neville's NXT run was great too, and I feel like it was definitely like a protogenic bastard that you started to see come through. Neville finally starting to show some character, and you know, hey, I don't. Do you think I'm wrong?
No, I'm just putting in the sound bits where I think they're appropriate. Keep going.
Oh, I see. I mean, for that time, like I was super. Hey, I was super impressed with Adrian Neville during his NXT Championship run, especially towards the latter end there.
Yeah, he did have a great run. And remember who he beat to win that championship? Uncle Howdy.
I have no idea. I didn't have a sound there for that.
And then finally, it's kind of a small one today, but happy birthday to WWE Hall of Famer, Rey Mysterio Jr.
Booyaka, booyaka.
619.
I gotta lay
or 5-0 in today's case.
Who's that jumping
50 years old?
REY Mysterio. Here we go.
About the mascot, the boys at SmackDown better tap out.
Tap out off the top rope, and we're gonna talk about Survivor Series for 5 minutes.
We're gonna do this in under 5 minutes. We're gonna do this in 2 minutes. So I'm gonna say the match and what happened. You're gonna say your opinion on it in the form of yay or nay. Here we go. Rhea Ripley, Bianca Belair, Naomi, Io Sky, and Bayley defeated the Judgment Days, Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez, Nia Jax, Tiffany Stratton, and Candice LeRae. Rhea Ripley pinned Liv Morgan for the victory.
Nay.
Nah.
Nay. Shinsuke Nakamura defeated LA Knight and became the new WWE United States Champion.
Big yay.
Yay. Big yay.
Nay. Braun Breaker successfully retained his Intercontinental Championship by defeating Sheamus and Ludwig Kaiser. Braun Breaker pinned.
Big meaty man slapping me.
Big yay.
All the yay.
This one gets a yay from me. Gunther successfully retained the World Heavyweight Championship by defeating Damian Priest by the sleeper submission. Finn Balor interfered during that match.
Yay minus the finish nay.
There you go, Finn.
Off is the direction you can fuck.
There you go. Otherwise, a yay.
I'm going to give this one a yay, too. It's a lame yay. Last match, main events. Roman Reigns, the Usos, Jimmy and Jay Uso, Sami Zayn, and CM Punk defeat the Bloodline, Solo Sikoa, Jacob Fatu, Tama Tonga, and Tonga Loa, and Bronson Reed. Roman Reigns pins Solo Sikoa for the win.
Big fucking nay.
Nay. No.
I think this one's a high nay or a low yay. I'm going to lean more towards the high nay.
Like overall, an eh?
Yeah, it's an eh. They didn't really give us the option of an eh, but...
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. That's my own fault. I should have. We'll do that for NXT. Score out of 10?
7. Like 75.
Yeah.
Like 75%.
Yeah.
Because we go on percentages.
Yeah, percentage is fine, yeah.
It's a C.
We can't say the letters because the letters are conflicting across nations.
Oh, I'm sorry, buddy. I know that up in there in Canada they do grading weird, guy.
F is for fail.
What, Jimmy, you don't get people say? What, you never heard anyone get a say before?
Okay, well, what's your number, Brandon?
I don't know, probably like a straight 7, not even like a 7.5, like a C minus.
Yeah, I'm giving it a 6.5, which is a C in Canada.
Wow. You guys just passing everybody up on there.
All right, that's our Survivor Series review. Was there any highlights that we wanted to talk about specific to that show like in a minute or two. I know he said some stuff about Nia Jax and she got a bunch of undeserved shit. Anything else beyond that?
Murder Shinsuke.
Okay.
Love it.
Okay. Brandon, did you have
Roman
any?
learned absolutely nothing. His punishments would be more severe.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, Roman hasn't changed at all. He's still an asshole. He's being presented as a face, but he's a complete heel. He needs to be humbled, and he needs his family to beat the fuck out of him, legitimately.
All right. That's your Survivor Series review in. Did anybody clock that? That was definitely under 5 minutes.
It was over 2, I know that.
Yeah, it was over 2 minutes, but it was under 5. That took us like an hour and a half last week. NXT Deadline. We could do yay, nay, or A. Or
Hey.
A, like middle ground. Ope-Eh defeated Wesley, Javon Evans, Nathan Frazier, and Ethan Page in a Iron Survivor Challenge.
Yay. Big yay. Meat.
Yay. Oba's ready, boys. Oba Darula. Oba feminists, rise up.
Lola Vice defeated Jada Parker by technical submission in an NXT Underground match.
Eh.
Nay.
Yeah, I'm gonna give this one an an A, an
Nay.
Okay.
What's the second word in our podcast name?
Was it or is it A? It probably should have been but I said A at first. It's like A, not A. But anyways.
Yeah, the podcast name is the Ope-Eh three-way, Donnie. Thank you.
The Ope-Eh three-way.
Nathan Frazier and Axiom defeated No Quarter Catch Cruz, Miles Bourne, and Tavian Heights.
Big yay.
Yay, but the wrong team won. Sorry. I'll shut up.
Yay, but the right team won.
Correct team is fine.
Triple H defeated Ridge Holland to successfully retain the NXT Championship.
A nay.
Yeah.
I
love how
I'm going to go A, yay.
I had like 2 options, and then we decided we needed a third, and now we're still bridging.
I'm really more in the A. Like, this match exists. I'm happy Trick won.
Okay. I'm going to give it an A as well. This kind of happened. Julia defeated Sol Ruka, Stephanie Vaquer, Zarya, and Ren Sinclair in the Women's Iron Survivor Challenge main event.
Before saying anything, good job, Donnie. You finally learned her name.
Oh, Big yeah. Yay. I watched NXT last night. That's why I remembered.
Big yay.
Oh, yay.
Yeah, this one gets a yay. Oh, yeah. That was one gets a yay. And I think every woman in this match gets a yay for various reasons, but...
Definitely.
Overall, MVP. Score out of 10 on this this show?
9.
Ooh, it's a very high rating.
Yeah, it's pretty sturdy.
I'm talking B plus A minus. There were a couple of missteps, but I think they're hitting their stride in NXT.
I'd have to give it about a solid 8.5. Only because I don't like that Fraxium one. That's it. Otherwise, I'd have given that a 9.
I'm also on the 8.5. I'm more so just losing a little bit of points with the Underground match, which was whatever, and the Trick Williams match, which was also kind of whatever. I don't really know why you think the wrong team won that tag match. I think there's no reason for a tag team without a front man to win the tag titles. They're just lackeys.
I don't know. I guess I was just kind of looking for a little shakeup with the NXT tag division. And Fraxium's they've been holding it down, but they're also, like I said, just kind of, they've been big fish in a very small pond, especially relative to other tag team divisions of NXT's past. So,
well, maybe you'll get your wish.
Not to say they're not good.
Maybe you'll get your wish next week when they do the double billing again. This time, Axiom has to run the gauntlet.
Oh, yeah, there's a chance.
Yeah. All right, that was under 5 minutes as well. Not much under five, but that was under five as well. So good job, guys.
Woohoo!
Let's talk. Did we miss anything else on that show just before we move into our content for today and don't have to rush it so much?
Eddie Thorpe is a genius,
Well, that wasn't from last week, but
but I just want to say it.
Well,
I don't disagree.
the New Day did
Oh,
nothing
the New
wrong.
Day stuff. Yeah, the New Day stuff. We didn't cover that.
I'm
The
still
episode
in
was.
mourning and don't want to talk about it.
I didn't even
I
know that
wish
was
we
gonna
had
come on that
the.
episode because I would have thought about it as I was editing it for sure. But
I wish
yeah,
we had the. I wish we had the "Why are you booing me? I'm right" soundbite for this.
yeah. I use
Kofi,
that GIF a lot, mostly
perennial
because
babyface Kofi Kingston getting booed out of the arena.
you broke your
I'm sure
24
he's
neck.
people
loving it
involved.
though.
So what?
It's crazy. It's crazy to see.
He's loving it though. I'm sure.
Hey, any of these guys, they love getting reactions. What you don't want is no reactions, and the New Day wasn't getting a whole lot of reactions for the last while. So
Yeah, exactly.
we'll see where this goes. Kevin Owens agrees with them, so there's that. Um,
Hey, Kevin was right. His T-shirt said so.
yep. If a
Because
T-shirt said it, he must be right.
like Kevin
Oh yeah.
Owens, the New Day is not fully in the wrong here.
We'll get into that more when they're actually allowed to talk on the microphone.
But when you're getting Dom Heat,
Uh,
it's kind of tough.
so let's talk about the women's mid card here on the main roster specifically. I mean, we could talk about NXT's roster being stacked all to hell, but including returning Shotzi last night as well at NXT. It seems like she's going
Oh,
to be on the NXT roster now for good. Um, but two tournaments currently going on in WWE to crown mid card titles. We kicked off the Women's United States Championship. It was announced back in the beginning of November, on November 8th, with the main events will be on Saturday night's main events. And we also have the Women's Intercontinental Championship, which was unveiled on the 25th of November, and tournament is still ongoing with no final date yet determined. We'll start off with the IC titles. There's already been two matches out of the 12 competitors. First match saw Dakota Kai defeat Katana Chance and Shayna Baszler. And in the second match, which was just on this past Monday, Lyra Valkyria defeated Ivy Nile and Zelina Vega, which made a lot of people on Twitter pretty mad, but oh well.
that was a tough one though. Honestly, Zelina would have been a strong finalist in either bracket. So
Right, I agree. But I think the finalists are already in the semifinals.
Yeah, it's definitely
yeah,
possible. I think I disagree. I think Lyra makes the finals. So her side of the bracket, the next match will be Alba Fire, Kairi Sane, and Natalia. I don't think any of those women will win the tournament. So let's say Natalia wins that match, probably.
uh, on that note, I think a lot of people, there's been a lot of buzz on the internet there about Natalia possibly taking this thing all the way home, or people at least really wanting to see her take it all the way home, which I can't entirely disagree. I mean, granted, there are a lot of really like this whole bracket has been stacked with female competitors, right? Who would be great intercontinental champions. But when you think of all that Natty's done over the years, and she still competes at a pretty high level, you know, she has been a workhorse for the women for years, and I feel like she's very emblematic of the championship itself. She wouldn't be a bad champion, I don't think.
No, she's the quintessential veteran getting the first crack at gold to help establish it.
Yeah, I think of the ones that the veterans that had been discussed for that are still in contention for the two titles, I do think Natalia makes more sense than people saying Bailey should win. I really don't think Bailey should be winning the U.S. Championship. We'll get into that in a little bit. So
Oh, you're hurting Brandon's feelings.
Natalia probably makes the most sense
My lie.
as a vet to win, but I don't think she'll be beating Lyra and somebody else to do it.
No, I
But
think the clear choice is Lyra in my eyes.
You had mentioned that you think that she would be defeating Dakota Kai in the finals. We'll mention what the other match is to see who faces Dakota next week. That'll be Zoe Stark, Raquel, or sorry, 2 weeks from now will be when they face Dakota. The match is next week. Zoe Stark, Raquel Rodriguez, and Kaden Carter have a triple threat match next week. I would be shocked if Raquel doesn't win.
yeah, she's pretty much the most relevant, and solely by virtue of relevance. I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing Zoe Stark either, but Raquel Rodriguez is in one of the bigger storylines going right now, or in one of the bigger factions, at least I should say,
Agree.
with most relevance.
And I think from a booking perspective, I do believe if Lyra is to win the tournament, she probably beats Raquel in the finals. I think that probably does a bit more for some potential story booking than beating Dakota does, unfortunately for Dakota. I also could see Raquel winning by some bullshit in some of these matches. So,
Oh yeah,
and we already have EO and Liv. They have a match this weekend. So seeing Damage Control versus Judgment Day can continue with some more fuckery in that semifinals match should it happen. So I have Lyra beating Raquel in the finals, but it could be Dakota.
It's one of
I
it's one of those three. Those are the three real options. Maybe Natalia is like the dark horse pick, but I think Lyra is really the star of the future. And I think I said this to Brandon. Maybe I said it on last week's pod that disappeared. That Lyra, like 2025, is going to be the year of the rise of Lyra. So
they've
guess you
definitely
could
been
call it.
positioning her.
Guess you could call it the rise of the Valkyrie.
Well, hey,
There.
they've definitely positioning Lyra
Yeah.
to be in a position of rise. I feel like it's kind of similar to when Finn came on the main roster for the first time. Like you just knew, but it was going to be a matter of time. I feel like the same's true with Lyra. And like I said, like whether or not she wins, you do have um, either her or Natalia as very good, viable championship candidates. I like Dakota too, but I honestly like, especially with the recent run of injuries that she's had, I don't know that that's in the cards for her right now. Now, if she can stay healthy and continue to perform at a high level, then perhaps then next year we see some more in that regard, but I don't see it right now, personally.
Yeah, I agree. I don't really have much to say on this one. I mean, I think Lyra's the option that had the machine behind her to begin with. We saw her rise in NXT, which kind of came from nowhere. In all honesty, like there wasn't a whole lot of hoopla about her. I remember the first time when she debuted in NXT, her intro had a whole bunch of like really shitty overlay lightning on it, and it looked terrible. She was supposed to be coming out during a lightning storm or something, and the graphics package looked really shitty. I think that was a Kevin Dunn special because he was still there at the time. But she showed out, did great work in NXT, became NXT champion twice, right? No, was it only one? She was only champion once, right? Or did she win it twice?
One,
I
but
believe she only won on one time.
Oh
didn't
yeah,
she
because she
beat
beat
Becky for it?
Becky, right, and Becky beat Tiffany Stratton. That's right. So, yeah, had a good run there. On the main roster, she got an initial push by going to Queen of the Ring finals, losing to now WWE Women's Champion Nia Jax, and then that kind of
Where she
stopped
died
after
in that
that.
match.
Yeah,
She was dead. She died in that finish.
she did, and maybe that's why she was off TV there for a little bit afterwards because she got annihilated.
Yeah, she did. No,
You're giving
Uh,
this Canadian too much power.
Give them a soundboard. They take a whole podcast.
Yeah, well, I don't have much more to add. I would expect the
Well, why don't we
finals to
talk
be
about
on the
the
debut
United
of.
States?
We can do that. I would expect the finals for this to be on the debut of Netflix, January 6th. Makes the
That
most
makes sense.
Yep, I could see it.
Be nice to actually watch a live Raw for the first time in a while.
So
Yeah,
for the
for us
United
poors who can't get cable.
States Championship, we have that tournament is almost over now. We're already into the semifinals. So to recap what happened in the first round, Bailey defeated BFAB and Candice LeRae. Chelsea Green defeated Blair Davenport and Bianca Belair. Bianca Belair left that match as Jade Cargill was attacked backstage during that match. Michin defeated Piper Niven and Lash Legend. Lash Legend replaced Jade Cargill in her spot. And then Tiffany Stratton defeated Elektra Lopez and Naomi. So our semifinals matchups, which are both this week on Friday, Bailey versus Chelsea Green and Michin versus Tiffany Stratton.
I mean, my heart wants Chelsea Green to win.
Yep. You got to give the Canadians all that power, right?
I take back what I just said.
I think it's sacrilege, but that's just me. Imagine a Canadian holding the inaugural championship of the greatest country on earth. Imagine that, Pierce. Pierce, just imagine that for a second. I mean, I know in your heart, but you gotta look at the facts here.
The hyperbole.
I think
And start turning into Alex Jones over to
I think the
Hashtag fake
obvious
news.
choice to win is Michin. I can see why they'd put it on Bailey. It's the same reason they give the title to Natalya, but I think Michin has upped her game to a level where she's earned a title run.
Tiffany Stratton makes no sense. Do not give her the belt. I'll say that.
I think Tiffany is going to be doing something else on Saturday.
I mean, I would hope. How many opportunities does she need at this juncture? But
I'm hoping Chelsea Green wins. I could see Michin winning. I don't really want to see the other two win.
I think Michin and Chelsea Green are the two front runners. Bailey's the dark horse.
Yeah. I know there's been some online chatter about programs that come out of these. Specifically, there's some discourse about Lyra winning the IC title and inevitably having another feud with Becky come Mania time for that title. Put a little prestige on it during that WrestleMania season. And then Bailey, being the mother hen that she is, says she wants to have Roxanne Perez's first WrestleMania match. So
I could see that.
people talking about that on the interwebs.
I mean, that wouldn't be my first pick for where Rox goes, but I mean, I could see that as a nice consolation.
Well,
right.
We will get into that in a little bit. And when a little bit means first, we must talk about Saturday night's main event, which is returning for the first time in
2008.
Okay, since 2008. Thank you.
There you go, Pierce.
It'll be this.
Sometimes, right, Brandon?
Yeah.
Hey.
Thank you for that nickname.
It'll be this
Oh,
Saturday. It'll be on NBC and Peacock, so it'll actually be on NBC's main channel.
As it should be.
I would assume internationally it'll be available wherever you can consume your weekly content. So in Canada, you'd be watching it on Sportsnet 360. It'll take place at Nassau Veterans Coliseum in Uniondale, which is also the same place the first main event took place. So
kind of crazy. It's still got the same name.
Yeah.
It's not like Hot Pockets Arena.
Yeah, it hasn't been commercialized yet.
Yeah. Aesthetically, I hear that the show itself is meant to look very similar to how it looked back in Ventura's day too. They're going
And
really all out with this retro theme, which I'm pretty
speaking
excited to
of the
see, actually.
governor, he's gonna be there, and he ain't got time to bleed.
Well, it ain't going to pay him enough to bleed, old as he is. Shit.
Yeah, I hope he's not doing any bleeding on
I
Saturday.
I don't
I
care
would
what he
be
does. I want to
alarmed.
hear that dude talk for hours.
Oh, if it's up to him, he would talk for hours, but I don't know how
Hopefully, he's got
much.
time to talk.
He's got time to talk.
There is 5 matches on this card, and I mean we'll just start with the one that we just talked about, just to go through it here. The finals of the Women's United States Championship will be on this. TBD on who that will be. You said you might see Tiffany getting involved, so why don't we talk about the other women's matches listed on this card, and that's Liv Morgan defending the Women's World Championship against Io Sky.
I think Io's gonna win the title.
Really?
Why would you say that, Pierce?
I have a gut feeling. And like the little tug of war between Io and Rhea, maybe they're setting it up as a Mania match. I think Io wins the title and takes it to at least Mania.
I'm hoping. Sorry, go ahead.
I just have a feeling.
I mean, I'm hoping if EO does win it, she does take it somewhere, but I don't know about Mania. I'd love it if she took it to Mania and, doubled up as a champion at the show of shows. In any case, I just hope we don't get another Liv Rhea match, no matter what happens. I mean, Rhea's going to be in the championship picture no matter what, I feel, just because she's obviously the megastar of the women's division. That being said, my heart would go with Io Sky too, because I feel like, especially in the whole like Liv and Rhea dynamic, I almost said Riv and Leah, but in that whole dynamic, I feel like Io doing what she does in the ring and then becoming number one contender and, just her in general, I feel like she's been getting overlooked. So this would be the time to put the belt back on her, put her back in the seat of relevance where she should be. And
then she joins the
not make it.
bloodline because the island of relevancy.
Well, I mean, not have to go that far. I mean, last thing we need is more bloodline shenanigans. We might finally be nearing the end of bloodline shenanigans for a little while.
We'll get into
5
that.
more
Like all
years
out
of
We'll
bloodline.
get into that in a little bit, but
Right.
I think Liv retains here. I don't think that there will be a title change here. I think Judgment Day will get involved in this match. I do think Rhea Ripley will get involved in this match, and I actually think Rhea Ripley will unintentionally screw Io out of winning.
I think that's a safe assessment.
Yeah. I don't know. They're saying there's going to be like one major title change.
Yeah, it's called the Women's
major,
United States Championship.
It's not a major title.
Well, it's not a change per
Don't
se.
tell that to the competitors in that tournament.
It is a secondary title. The major
Well, who are they changing from? Vacant?
Who is saying that there's a major title change? Who is there?
I've seen stuff online.
Wow. Sources.
Yeah, sources. I have my sources.
This wasn't a feather bomb, was it?
I called my man, Ball Babek, and he said there's at least one title change that is being booked.
A major title change, lest we forget.
And of them, I think there's 2 options where the title changes. Honestly, the title could change in any of the major title matches, realistically. Me and Brandon have been going for the WWE title change hands for months now. But I think this is the most safe pick for a title change.
I would agree that it's the safest pick for a title change if one had to happen. I don't know that one will. You could also have, you brought her up already, so I got to bring it up, Tiffany Stratton with the women's Money in the Bank, the Money in the Bank. See, I see it different every week, and it's never right. She's got the Money in the Bank briefcase.
Yeah, I mean,
Cash
if
in.
that's it.
Sorry.
I think she cashes in on Nia, but I'd be okay if she cashed in on Liv. Or Io, for that matter. Excuse me.
Yeah, I mean, oh, you got a bit of the coof.
Got that winter
Yeah, I mean,
cold.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness, everyone's talking over everybody.
it's that rust, being 2 episodes out. No, I feel like Tiff cashing in on the women's world champion wouldn't be the worst thing. I feel like it would be a nice change of pace from, what we can kind of have been expecting from, these last few weeks or what have you. I wouldn't be mad if she cashed in on Nia, but I would be totally up for cash in on the opposite side of the fence there. So, but we'll see.
Our next match is the only non-title match of the evening, which was just made on Monday. Sami Zayn versus Drew McIntyre.
Claymore, dead.
Yeah, Sami's gonna die.
Yeah. Yeah, Drew's getting back in it, and he is in it to win it.
Dead
Hopefully,
is going into the stands.
I'm just hoping he gets a program with Cody before Cody loses his championship. However, it's got to happen. Got to get the Dashing Ones reunion before, while it's still hot, boys.
It will depend on where everybody ends up in the roster and what happens on
This
Saturday
is
night's main event. But
yes, of course.
all right, well that's an easy one. Consensus: Drew McIntyre wins. Then we have a triple threat match for the World Heavyweight Championship. Gunther versus Finn Balor was originally supposed to be the match, but on Monday, Pierce decided to add in Damian Priest to make it a triple threat.
I think Gunther retains here. I feel like, in this case, I feel like he also decisively will pin Damian Priest. I feel like Finn's going to come real close. If they're really going forward with this big old push that they're trying to get Finn leading into next year, I think he's going to look real strong in this match. But ultimately, I think Gunther gets his redemption. He finally gets a clean win over Damian Priest. It technically wouldn't be interference with Finn legally being involved in the match now, but all 3 guys can say that they were sanctioned in it and they were all gunning for the same thing. But Gunther ultimately, I think, is going to come out on top.
One thing of note in this match is that Judgment Day is banned from ringside.
That's not going to stop him.
Well, I mean,
Adam Pierce is not the greatest authority figure, and a lot of those guys don't give a shit what he says.
when was the last time someone was banned from ringside and then they still came out during the match? I don't think it happens that often.
Last time I could think was WrestleMania 39, where Solo Sikoa got banned from ringside and then came back out and screwed Cody.
Even if they do come out, though, are they really gonna? I don't know where Carlito's at, but I can't see Dominic really fighting all that hard to get Finn the championship.
Yeah, if anything, Dominic might accidentally hit Finn.
Hey,
Talk about actual
Dom did
interferences.
pretty damn well against Gunther the other week.
Oh, he was actually getting cheers there.
Well, that's what happens when you're the #1 wrestler in the world under 30.
Yeah, maybe there's something to that. The Freicher crepes. What is it with us and the English language today? This is bad.
I just can't say
the
money.
future. The future is now. And Dominic Mysterio, I think Dominic Mysterio is going to have a really good 2025. But yeah, I was actually really impressed with how he did against Gunther. So I mean, we'll see. Like, I don't think he's going to try to help Finn in this though.
They're banned from ringside. Let's assume they're actually banned from ringside.
That's the
So
hope anyway.
my Mark Hart wants Finn to win. My brain is telling me Gunther will win. So I'm going to pick Gunther. However, if there is a title change, I don't see Damien winning it. I see Finn.
So you're seeing Finn
I
2 belts.
I don't think Finn wins. I think Finn's the least likely. I think also him being stressed about that match is going to cause them to also lose the tag titles on Monday, as him and JD McDonough are defending against the War Raiders again. I think he loses this match and loses on Monday.
And hopefully we start to see the genuine dissolution of the Judgment Day.
Yeah, then you'll see the full break run through that. Whether that happens right away or gets dragged out through into Mania, that's TBD. But then you'll start seeing singles Finn again more so once they're fractured in 2025, in my opinion. So that means that Gunther retains. I don't think Damian Priest is going to win either.
I'm okay with any of the three winning. Like, genuinely.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with any of them as champion either. I just Finn's got too much uh, baggage going on right now to win. Damian, he had a good run, kind of. This is probably not the way he wants to win again, in an actual storytelling perspective. So that leaves us with Gunther, who's been a fine champion and will continue to do so until he loses to John Cena.
Let's not get ahead of ourselves now.
I said
I
what I
mean,
said.
we could talk about that too. I don't think 17 is going to be the World Heavyweight Championship. Me personally, but then there's other stuff to layer on top of that too. But I mean, that'll be something we talk about here in the next bit. But I got
Well,
some thoughts on that matter.
yeah, there's ways to go to that, but I just had to sneak in my thing there.
Ah,
Yeah,
sneaky sneak.
sneaky, sneaky. The main event for Saturday night's main event will be for the WWE Championship, Cody Rhodes, with presumably the Winged Eagle Championship, as spoiled on X today by
Uh,
WWE, versus Kevin Owens.
Kevin should win, but Cody will.
Why should Kevin win?
Because it would be interesting. It would be a swerve. Kevin Owens has been doing some of the best work of his career since his heel turn. It feels like he is prize fighter KO. He hasn't been in the wrong this entire story. I'm not saying Cody's been in the wrong either. I think Kevin, it's been, what, 9 years since a Kevin Owens world title run? Let's run it back. Even if it's for a month.
I'm not disagreeing with you, Pierce, on that, but my thought on that is it's going to play out emotionally the same way the Chad Gable Gunter Intercontinental Championship storyline played out, where you see this guy working real hard and he's. I feel like it's not remiss to say that Kevin Owens is definitely like a people's champion candidate or could be. I feel like a lot of people view him as a guy who is well deserving of another world championship reign. I just don't think that he gets it at the expense of Cody at this point in time, especially right with WrestleMania on the horizon and Randy Orton still, somewhere waiting in the wings. Like, I feel like, I mean, and then how do you book that? Like, I mean, I guess one way you could say is like, say Kevin wins, right? And then Randy comes back. Does Randy beat Kevin for the title? And then does Cody chase Randy? Or are we going the route where Cody stays dominant and then Randy chases him after beating up Kevin? You know, there's a couple ways to go about it. And then do we want to see Cody in the chase for a championship again, knowing that he'll more than likely win? I mean, it's giving Randy and Cody and Kevin 2 short reigns in that span of time. with kind of foregone conclusions, which sucks for both of them because they both are, I believe, deserving of long and, thriving championship reigns, even at this stage in their careers. But I don't know, I see Cody coming away with this one. I see Kevin having the balls to finally pull the trigger and like go killer instinct on Cody. But I mean, we've seen where Cody goes to, like, i.e. Backlash, where he kicks out of a burning hammer at one, and that still fucking irritates me. But it's just, I don't know, man. I see Cody taking this one away, unfortunately. Holding up that beautiful, overrated winged eagle championship that no one can seem to shut the fuck up about. But hopefully after Saturday night's main event, we can say we saw it and finally just put it to bed.
They won't.
That's my 2 cents. That's just my 2 cents.
The problem is people are going to say it looks way better than what the current belt is, and then they're just going to want it the whole time, and then you're going to hear more.
Which is debatable, but...
Well, you won't know until you see it on Saturday.
I mean, I guess. I mean, I guess I never really had the attachment. I never had the attachment to that belt. Like, I didn't grow up in that era. I get you had all these greats who held the championship, but you could say the same about other iterations of the championship too, including the most recent one, including the current one. So, I don't know.
And look how many greats held the spinner belt. Bring back the spinner belt.
I'm good.
Yeah, no. Nah.
If they were going to bring back old belts, I would say bring back the original Undisputed title, because that is an underrated and beautiful title. And bring back Big Gold.
They already brought back Big Gold.
Bring it
World
back
Heavyweight
again.
Championship.
They just stamped the logo right there in the middle.
You're not getting Big Gold back when it's already back, just not the way you want it to be back.
Bring back OG Big Gold.
You're not getting it.
Bigger gold?
No.
Biggest gold.
That's in Saudi Arabia.
No, that's biggest diamond. But that's also Minecraft.
I also think Cody retains. I think there's a bigger story waiting for Cody to potentially lose his title to, whether that's Roman, whether that's Dwayne, whether that's Randy. I do not think it is Kevin Owens.
Or Drew.
It is not going to be Drew either.
It should be Drew.
It's not going to be.
Can I say something? I've been seeing a lot of stuff online saying Cody's reign has been shit and they should have never had him beat Roman.
I've seen some discussion of that.
I think that is just wrong. I think Cody's reign has been good. It's not great. It's very much known, a babyface champion. They're always better in the chase than they are as champion.
Correct.
It's 95% of the time that is how that works.
I also think they had him feuding with the Bloodline for too long, which is not his fault.
No.
He just was in Bloodline matters from before Money in the Bank until Bad Blood. No, even after Bad Blood, because they had the tag match. No, the tag match was at Bad Blood, and then that was it, right? Okay, yeah. So that's still a span of like over 4 months.
Well, let's be frank. They can bubble that up again at any time before WrestleMania.
And they will once the inevitable Cody Roman rematch kind of has to happen.
Yeah, they can't leave that on the table. Right.
And I know they don't technically do that anymore, but like in Roman's case, they probably should.
Look, Rhodes Reigns 3 is too big to leave on the table.
Roman was champion for over 1,400 days, and there was no real champion fatigue with him, which is kind of insane.
Well, I mean, they only had him on TV once every 3 weeks.
Yeah, he made the belt feel special.
I agree. I was not a hater of that, but I'm just saying it's hard to get fatigue when you only feud with 3 guys a year.
Right, and I agree with that. However, if he were to beat Cody again at this year's WrestleMania, I don't think people would have been okay with it. And him losing it at SummerSlam to Cody, if the original plan of him facing Dwayne happened, I don't think that would have helped either. I think Cody's reign has been good. It hasn't been great. That's not his fault. That's more on the bloodline shenanigans. And I think Roman lost it at the perfect time to the perfect person.
Agree.
Although, ironically, you could argue that with Roman back in the picture now, it's kind of been overshadowing a lot of what Cody's been bringing to the table. So, is there validity in that? I mean, I won't say that it was bad to end Roman's reign. I feel like it was the perfect time to end it. But I don't know that we can say. I mean, Cody, I will agree with the assessment that of today's current crop, someone said that it's Reigns, Rhodes, obviously. John Cena, questionable because you have Punk in there as well. But I feel like I just feel like even with as much as Cody's done with the WWE Championship and he has been on more, I feel like it still doesn't really equate to even like a full year. Like we'll look at a full year of Cody's reign when WrestleMania comes up. I don't even know that it equates to a year of any of Roman's years that he's been as champion. I mean, he did defend more in the first year. Second year, third year were kind of like lesser, but there was still a lot more of a weight. I feel like when it came to the WWE Championship, or rather the Universal Championship, and Roman's defenses of it. I feel like Cody's just kind of he's carrying the belt around, but he doesn't really feel as much like a champion, if that makes sense. And
Cody's kind of a throwback champion. He goes to the towns. He has his championship. Most of the time, he doesn't defend it all the time, but he defends it when it's necessary and more on the dark match side. He's and the way he carries it is a throwback to the champions of old. So I think that may be part of the issue of the hate is that Cody is more of a throwback champion versus, the part-time champion that Roman was, or the defending the workhorse champion that Seth was.
Yeah, seeing a guy every week but not have him wrestle every week kind of gets stale after a while.
Well, and especially like if you consider how many times he's also been opening the card too on a few of these PLEs. Like I don't recall a single PLE that Roman. I could be wrong because he's been champion for about 3 years or so. But I don't remember a single PLE or pay-per-view where Roman opened the show. Because it was pretty well established that he was the main event. And by proxy, the championship was the main event. So then when you have him opening the card against AJ on, I think, the pay-per-view following WrestleMania, I feel like that kind of set the tone for what you can almost kind of expect.
They closed Backlash.
Did they close Backlash?
It was Clash at the Castle that he opened.
Yeah,
but,
they closed Backlash.
Yes.
They closed Bad. What do you say, Backlash or Bad Blood?
Backlash.
And then he opened Clash at the Castle.
Yes.
My
which
mistake.
is understandable when it's Drew's hometown against Damian.
Yes.
Right. But it wasn't exclusive to that show either, which I feel like, kind of, I don't know. I guess just Cody in general, like I said, hasn't really, and maybe he can continue to prove, and maybe he can prove me wrong by the time it gets closer to Mania season. I just feel like up to this point, like he's been a good champion, but not like a great champion.
Yep. But I just wanted to talk about the discourse that he was a bad champion and that Roman should still be champion, because that's just wildly incorrect.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
fair.
Roman's title ended the way it did. It was right for Roman's reign to end the way it did when it did.
There were 3 times Roman should have lost the title. Against Drew at the original Clash, against Cody at 39, and against Cody at 40. And honestly, the right choice was Cody at 40.
Well, I'm sure if you talked to Edge, he probably would have said you should have lost it to him.
On this day, he sees clearly that he is totally wrong.
No. Or Logan Paul. Or Cesaro.
I would have been fine with Cesaro.
I would not have.
Yeah, but you hate wrestlers that
have no
can't
personality.
Talk.
Yes, you're correct.
Hey, he came out in a James Bond suit for a little bit there. Did you see that?
Yes, very impressive.
And he ripped
Cyborg.
And then he ripped off his pants like the Thunder from Down Under.
No boy.
And he
Yeah.
can spin people.
Or the Chippendales.
What more do you need?
Someone who can talk.
Well, I'll give you somebody who can talk. CM Punk, who is my first pick to SmackDown.
CM Punk
Oh.
is your first pick to SmackDown.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that's gonna happen. There's no way. Okay, so let's do some preamble here before we go too far down the rabbit hole.
I saw the opportunity for the segue and I took
Yeah,
it.
last Friday, it was announced. Michael Cole brought it up during SmackDown that there is a transfer portal opportunity where wrestlers can move across brands from that show until Netflix's debut on January 6th. We've known that this was speculated on dirt sheets for a while because essentially Netflix wants the people they want on their show on their show.
I mean, they're paying enough money to where they can get whoever the fuck they want.
Yeah, so that's why you're bringing up CM Punk going to SmackDown. I do not think CM Punk is going to SmackDown at all.
Here's my reasoning. I know they want Punk, but they can't get everybody they want, and SmackDown is going to need some star power, and
They'll have it. It
there
just
are
won't be with
three-
CM Punk.
there are 3 megastars in the WWE on the men's side currently. Like, they transcend wrestling, right?
Hmm.
Well, 4 if you count John Cena, but John Cena and The Rock technically. But
Yeah, I definitely don't count The Rock. John Cena, it'll be yet to be determined how, but he's basically going to be a free
like part time,
agent. Yeah,
like
part-time
super
free
part
agent.
timers,
Yeah.
I'm not going to count. But the 3 are obviously Cody Rhodes, Roman Reigns, and CM Punk.
And Brock Lesnar.
He's not in the WWE right now. Maybe ever again.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say he's pretty out of the picture there. But, anything can happen.
I think Cody and Roman are going to Raw, and I think you need to move CM Punk to SmackDown. There's my reasoning.
Okay. I do not think Cody is going to go, or CM Punk is going to go to SmackDown. If you want to give me a name of someone who's going to go to SmackDown, I mean, we didn't really structure this whether we wanted to talk about the champions first and all that, so I'll skip them for a second. Drew McIntyre is going to go to SmackDown.
Maybe that's Paul Heyman's favor to CM Punk. I mean,
That would be so lame.
just get him the fuck off my show. Well, I'm wondering because I feel like if you put Punk on SmackDown, like then where does that leave? Where does that leave Heyman's favor to him? Because I feel like there's a lot more if you have who I think is going to be on Raw and who I'm guessing you are saying is going to be on Raw too. Like, I feel like there's more to be gained from Punk gleaning a favor on Raw versus on SmackDown.
Correct. If Roman is there and Paul is there, then, I mean, Punk promos are made, I think, for, blurring the lines of what is and isn't allowed, and that can be done a lot easier on Netflix than it can be on the USA Network. So, I think just by that alone, ignoring the fact that he's being speculated to have a match as well, I don't think he moves. I think someone like Drew moves. Drew's someone who can lead stories and, be good on the microphone, be that big character guy on SmackDown, on the USA Network. He'll be one of the main torchbearers for story-driven stuff, I think.
All right.
Yeah.
We should probably talk about the champions, though, where they end up. It's just the easy starting points. That way we don't trip over different objectives here. Main title holders, Cody Rhodes and Gunther. Do they swap or do they stay?
I think they swap.
Yeah, I think that's the easiest thing to do in this case is swap. I mean, right, like you said, Netflix is going to get who they want, and I obviously like Cody and the WWE Championship both are what you want to represent Raw on a flagship show on what's going to be the flagship streaming service on the flagship media brand that they're associated with. So you want all the tops. You got to have Cody and you got to have the WWE Championship on Raw. That's how I see it.
Yeah, I agree. I think
And
Cody goes to Raw, Gunther goes to SmackDown.
And Gunther was a good SmackDown guy back when he was Intercontinental Champion for those early days and such. So I think he fits the SmackDown mold well. I think he'll be a good champion on SmackDown for however long that is.
And I don't think this changes anything either if the title changes. Unless, I guess if Kevin Owens happens to win, then maybe they stay where they are. But I assume both champions retain, and as such, we get a switch.
Mm-hmm.
Now we may as well talk about the women's main titles, currently held by Nia Jax and Liv Morgan.
I think they swap too, but I think Tiffany Stratton goes into Raw as the new women's champion, WWE women's champion.
I agree. I have a sneaking suspicion that um, Liv Morgan stays on Raw because Rhea Ripley would stay on Raw, but we're going too far ahead of ourselves. If Liv is the champion, then she probably has to move just for belt consistency. And I think that they would probably want to keep Liv on Raw. So I think, now that I talked my way through it, I do think Tiffany Stratton winning makes a bit more sense. And then you could keep her on SmackDown. Move Nia Jax over to Raw.
I could see both. I could see both Tiff and Nia going to Raw, but like you said, if Tiffany doesn't cash in on Saturday Night's main event, maybe Netflix Raw is it, and maybe Tiff becomes WWE Women's Champion there, and then that's where she starts off her reign. I'm hoping Liv, in whatever case, goes to SmackDown because I mean I also feel like she's a good SmackDown mold. I feel like it's consistent with kind of like what they did closer to the outset of the Ruthless Aggression era, where they swap, titles on the shows. You had the world titles on SmackDown, and then the WWE title on Raw. But also, it gets Liv away from Rhea, and I mean, I get it. They're clinging to that rivalry for all it's fucking worth, and they're milking it till it's dried up. But I feel like Liv could use a bit of I feel like she could use a bit away from Rhea if they're going to continue to keep her as champion, which wouldn't be the worst thing. I feel like putting her on a new brand with a fresh start wouldn't be the worst move. I feel like it gives her more options for defense. I feel like, she gets to showcase more outside of being Rhea's rival or, Dom's whatever, even though I could see Dom going with her too, but that's a whole other thing. Um,
It's a conundrum
that's
because, like, I think there's valid reasons to keep her where she is, and there's valid reasons to move her. And yes, that is still inevitably linked to Rhea Ripley. Um, and they're not going to split them up until the feud is over.
Yeah, whenever
So
that happens to be, if they carry it to Mania, which I could see too, like God,
I
that's
hope
a
not.
slog.
I mean,
I hope not either.
I would hope
No.
maybe they do the blow off match. I mean, if they're doing the IC title on Netflix, I don't think they would do Liv versus Rhea as well. But
Hmm.
got to be by the Rumble, I would say. And that also helps keep Rhea out of the Rumble, which I think is going to be very important. I don't think there's really a scenario where you can keep Rhea in the Rumble and not have her win, which I don't think
Right.
anybody wants to see her win again yet.
Not at this point, no.
So even though she wasn't in the Rumble last year because she was champion, but if the first chance she gets, she wins it again, and then we're just right back where we started. I don't think that's a good fit either. So I wouldn't be surprised if we get that blow off at the Rumble, and as a result, they have to be kept together.
Hmm.
Which then
Yeah.
it's like they move them both to SmackDown. I guess they could do that, but
Yeah.
Anyways, I think there's still like
Eh,
I wanted to keep it with the titles, but inevitably there's still some baggage associated to that title and well both titles really on the women's side because Tiffany and Nia are kind of a bit of a package deal right now, and whether you want it to be or not,
right.
Liv and Rhea are too.
Unfortunately.
Mid card titles. Let's
I think
start
they
with the
stay.
women's ones here since they'll be fresh. Is there a reason to move those?
No.
Nah.
I don't think
They
so
stay
either.
right where they are.
And then the men's ones, do they stay as well?
Yep. I think they stay right where
Yeah.
they're at.
In our last episode, we talked about how Braun Breaker was still going to be one of the main focal points on Netflix. So that would mean he stays on Raw, which means he doesn't go anywhere. So I think
He
that
ain't
makes
going to lose to
sense.
Ludwig Kaiser. He ain't going to lose to Ludwig this coming Monday. I know that much.
No.
I don't think he's going to lose to Shane Mo either before, Netflix finally kicks off. But like I said, he needs this reign to establish himself as the future of the company. And if he's holding the belt going into the Netflix era, that will cement him all the more. So I don't see him losing at all.
Hmm.
I don't see him going anywhere.
Pierce, you agree?
Yeah, 100%. It doesn't make sense to switch him. Shinsuke is just brand new into his reign, and Breaker's going to be the biggest star Raw has in the future.
They got to be brought up. Tag team titles. There's three sets of them. Nobody seems to care about any of them. One tag team isn't even really active. Well, two are inactive. One by choice and another by injury, allegedly.
Hey,
What the?
that one made the top of the PWI tag team list, did they not? The team with the injury? I swear to God, I just read something about that.
Bianca and Jade.
Yeah, that they were like ranked a top tag team
Yeah, they were
over
the top
like
tag team in
Fraxium.
PWI.
Mm, I find that hard to believe.
Yeah,
It's
the
a
PWI
kayfabe
tag
list, so
I mean,
top 100 tag teams.
that's
they lost
pretty.
one match the entire year.
Yeah, sure. I mean, that's still pretty damning on the tag team division as a whole, I would say.
Yeah, absolutely true. I mean, when you have like Fraxium as number two over teams like Bishamon and the Young Bucks, like I mean, almost teams of yesteryear, really. Like when you're talking about like Bishamon, but like it really just goes to show like how kind of as a small segue how just rough tag team wrestling has been this year, especially
It's been
towards the
for a
latter half.
while. It's been a while, honestly. I think AEW had maybe 1 to 2 years worth of good tag team wrestling, and they petered off as soon as they brought in those trios titles. Um, and before AEW, I mean, it's not like WWE is doing great work with the tag division either. There are some good reigns here and there. Like the Usos had a good reign, culminating to Mania with their match against Sammy and Kevin. But I there's always going to be tag wrestling in professional wrestling, but it's becoming more and more of a
It's
afterthought.
becoming a bit obsolete. Maybe not obsolete's the wrong word, but it just seems to be becoming more of an afterthought,
Yeah, it's
which sucks
antiquated.
because
I think the idea of building like a you want to build stars, and stars unfortunately need to be able to stand alone to show their worth, and tag team wrestling doesn't really allow for that. I
Well, yeah, it
like
is tough. Like,
sorry, I'm going to continue this. I actually really like what Fraxium is doing with this whole singles match with one guy and then tag match defending the titles as well the same night because it's actually showing value on each individual member, which I think is pretty
mhm.
unique in the grand scheme of things. But, we talk about, you know, all these like social media moments and engagement and building your stardom and your fame and this and that. And it's all like it's a solo, it's an individual thing, right? Like it's so hard to be able to bring like a pair, a team together and just see like without having to compare who's better than the other, who's pulling more of the weight, et cetera, right? So
Right.
right.
I don't
Well, and
want to
from
say they're ever going
storytelling
to get rid of
perspective
it.
too.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, I don't think it'll go away totally, but I mean, it's just gonna kind of be in the place that it's always been. It's never gonna supersede, one on one, because one on one is where the storytelling is. One on one is where the relatability is to the characters in the ring, and like, I mean, yeah, the Legion of Doom, like they arguably the greatest, most prolific tag team of all time. Put them on the same level as Hulk Hogan. I really don't think you can. Like,
No.
it's apples and oranges, right? But even then, like the best tag team will never be as prolific, will never sell stadiums or shows or tickets or PLEs or whatever like the biggest single star, because the biggest single star is where people put their hopes in, right? Like it's what people aspire to. Like
And I'm going to
people
double
want to
down
be
on
one of
that.
one.
And even on that, like some of these biggest tag teams historically, still the biggest moment for the people involved in those tag teams a lot of the time is the singles moments, right? So
Right.
Kofi, look at the New Day, right? What's the biggest moment associated to the New Day? Kofi Kingston winning at Mania. Look at Edge and Christian. What's the biggest moment there? Edge returning after injury by himself, right? Like so many times in these cruises, like sure you have like big tag matches and big tag moments. Like I already brought up the Mania main event from a couple years ago, but more often than not, even in the tag team aspect, look at Jey Uso right now. No one's talking about like the Usos' history. They're talking about how much of a star Jey Uso is, and he hasn't really won anything besides an IC title for a few weeks. A cup of coffee.
Tag team wrestling can be compelling. The storytelling is there. I mean, one of the greatest matches I've ever seen in my personal favorite match is the Young Bucks versus Kenny Omega and Hangman Page. Like the storytelling and this, like everything in that is just almost perfection in my eyes. But it seems like it's just taking a step back, which is sad. This is why I think that the true brand split should happen. That way, you could tell these tag team stories and give them more of a spotlight and give them time on PLEs to shine.
Back to our topic at hand. Where do these tag teams end up? Like specific to at least the champions for now, which are either JD and Finn or the War Raiders and DIY.
They're staying on their brands. Specifically the War
Mm,
Raiders. I think the Judgment Day goes to SmackDown, but that's
See, my prediction is that the War Raiders finally dethrone Judgment Day for the tag titles, and then they can take the belts over to SmackDown. It sucks that we're not going to get Raw as War Raiders, but it's a small price to pay. But I think ultimately you can swap, because I feel like also too when you talk about value in a brand or value in an image or whatever, like I feel like the WWE tag titles have been getting a little more shine, and I feel like as a tag team you probably could do a little bit more with DIY versus War Raiders. There's a little bit more personality in DIY, and you know
I
I
mean,
feel like
yeah, I
I feel
guess.
like yeah. I mean, I feel like it's a little bit. I mean, for what it is, I feel like
Tommaso
DIY they
Ciampa
could
and
really.
Tommaso Ciampa and fucking Johnny Gargano are two
Yeah,
of the most vanilla guys on the roster.
I mean, yeah, on their own, sure, but when you put them in the tag ranks and then like give them belts, we'll see how it goes. I mean, I don't remember with NXT. I don't know that they were tag champs for very long.
They weren't.
So if they
no
get a
only like a month, and then they got back to the chase, and that's what caused their split and their their feud that really defined Black and Gold NXT.
See, there you go. We're already one step ahead. We're entering uncharted waters with these guys now. So I don't know.
Yeah,
maybe this, maybe the move to Ross. What's it? I don't know.
I hate to like again this whole Judgment Day stuff with Finn and JD. Will they win or will they lose? Will they split with the rest of Judgment Day or will they not? I think there's some decisions that get made through that process that also dictates where they end up.
Hmm.
Um, so I hate that so much of it is actually tied to your 6 degrees of separation associated to Rhea Ripley to this. but I guess she would be a good name to bring up. Does she move to SmackDown or no?
Oh God, no,
Nah, no, she's Raw through and through.
I
no.
agree.
She's the biggest women's star in the sport currently.
Um,
And for a long time to come, too, I'm sure.
Bianca
Until
and
she's ready to
Jade.
put it down.
Bianca and Jade, where do they go?
I think they stay on SmackDown.
Mm,
Star power.
Do we even know that they're going to still be champions? There's still been nothing said about that either.
Yeah, I don't think it really matters.
I guess not.
Bianca will just walk around with the women's title and hope nobody notices. The women's
Okay,
tag title.
so you said CM Punk Pierce is going to SmackDown. Brandon, what did you have any thoughts on CM Punk?
I think he goes where Roman goes, and if the signs are pointing to Roman going to Raw, I see Punk staying on Raw.
Yeah, I agree
'Cause
with that.
I think the mutual attachment to Heyman is what the caveat is there.
Yeah.
So I don't see. I mean, unless Paul Heyman wants to travel, But again, like I don't see. I think eventually he comes back to Roman. Punk does by virtue of Heyman.
I don't think Paul is really like with Punk. Like he called him as a favor. You know what I mean?
That could be where the story goes.
Yeah, you're right. But
Possible. We don't
they're
know.
both Heyman's boys. I mean, you can't dispute that they're both Heyman's boys, and that much was apparent at the end of Survivor Series.
And
So-
this is a dark horse for another Paul Heyman guy, but it's already been teased before. One night in NXT, Braun Breaker's going to be on Raw too.
Yeah,
I think he's probably the next Heyman guy.
like a
So-
past, present, and future. Ooh, like a new evolution. Like a past.
I
Well,
don't
no,
think they're Samoan enough for Roman's liking, but that would be
yeah, and that to be
interesting
fair, I think the Steiners, I think to be fair, have been established to hate Samoans, at least per Braun's testimony. So
My
maybe there'd be a little bit of
family's
betrayal.
had for years.
Yeah.
Where does Seth Rollins go?
I think he stays on Raw.
I could see him going to SmackDown.
I could also see him going to SmackDown.
Matter of fact, I see him and Becky potentially, but that's another thing. But
yeah,
Seth particularly.
I could see both of them going, and I could see Becky potentially as well going to SmackDown. I just think that with Netflix likely taking all of anyone that you think of as like the massive star, I assume is going to go to Raw. There does need to be people capable of carrying some level of long-term booking. Now, there's the whole Seth and Punk, like, how do you do this? How do you get them? Who decides to say? Maybe their match that is being speculated to be on the debut of Netflix is to see who stays on Raw. Maybe it's a loser leaves Raw match.
Yeah, I could
think
see that
they
happening.
get so heated over the next few weeks that it's like, well, we can't keep these guys together on the same show, so loser leaves Raw. Loser doesn't get to be on Netflix. Loser doesn't get to be promoted as the big deal.
It's one more situation Adam Pearce can't handle.
Yeah. Loser cancels their subscription.
I don't know. I mean, nobody's listening to me. Maybe they should, but I think that's a great way to book relevance to that match happening as early as it might happen.
I mean, as long as it's not the last match, that's the only thing that matters. If it's not the last match, I'm fine. I'm fine with this.
But that's a great way of rushing it. You just have them beat the shit out of each other every week, assuming Punk shows up every week, which is technically still debatable because you don't have that much time left.
That seems like he is.
Have it as a loser leaves Raw. Who else do we want to talk about? Did you guys have some names in mind you wanted to bring up?
SmackDown, Ethan Page.
I was going to bring up the NXT stuff separately, but okay.
Oh, I'm thinking if you're talking SmackDown, I think American Made. I think with as little as they've been doing on Raw and with as much potential as they have, I feel like the move to SmackDown is the way to go.
I think the YX6 also go to SmackDown.
Oh, really? That's interesting. Why the Wyatt Six?
I I don't think that they've had quite the impact that people would have wanted them to have by now. And I think with all the star power that is potentially going to be on Raw, I think that will make them less and less and less relevant. I think they would really be better positioned to be on SmackDown, where they could be more of a focal point on weekly television.
So then, can we assume that their feud with the Final Testament would be done by then too,
I
or
think
at least
so.
with Karen?
I think so.
I mean,
Unless you
that
move them
definitely
too,
has
but
to. I mean, that's a lot of names to move at one time too. That's like
yeah.
10 people.
No, I think you move. I think you move, especially if you move Judgment Day to SmackDown. I think you could end up with a Judgment Day versus Wyatt Six, and that would be the actual breaking point for Judgment Day at that point too.
I mean, if there's one thing Wyatt Six have been to the better or their detriment, like they've been a solid TV act. Like they haven't been on a PLE in the 6 months that they've been around so far, and it's already been 6 months.
Yep.
Um, but I think, especially with like SmackDown kind of being the last on cable television, I feel like you do kind of want a steady presence on TV that people aren't going to be like, oh, well, I'm just going to wait for the PLE to see what happens with this one.
And,
I feel
and
like,
kinda,
for better or worse, that's been the Wyatt Six, right? Like, they've been pretty TV focal. Well, they've been exclusively TV focal. What am I saying?
Yes, they have.
What?
it's OG SmackDown to have the quote unquote spooky characters. I
Yep.
mean, the heart and soul of SmackDown in my eyes is The Undertaker. So,
The Wyatt family and the Fiend was also on SmackDown a lot.
right. The Fiend's main world title runs were SmackDown. So,
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes, I am calling the Wyatt Six to SmackDown.
I wouldn't be mad at it.
Jay Uso to SmackDown.
Jay Uso to SmackDown. I like
Want
it.
him away from the bloodline nonsense.
I think they should. I think he's big enough that he can stay away from Roman. I like it.
I think the bloodline goes to Raw.
Agree.
So get Jay away from it.
Unless you have the blow off of the Ulafala on the Netflix debut.
Yeah, who knows?
Well, or hard mode here. Jey Uso stays on Raw, continues to build his star while being on the same brand as Roman and them, but doesn't affiliate with them. Like, he still doesn't fully trust where Roman's at, but he's just like, I'm going to go my own way, do my own thing still. I mean,
If that happens, do you think we end up getting Jay versus Roman again, where Jay actually wins?
I wouldn't rule it out. I think it would be a good thing, especially like if he does win the Ulafala and they want to have like an actual like legit kind of a match. Maybe not necessarily for the role of tribal chief. Maybe that comes down the road. But it at least sets them on better footing.
What's the term of the match that they call? Is it a tribal warfare match, or what was it called when it was Jay versus
Tribal combat.
Tribal combat? Thank you.
Yeah, it was tribal combat. I mean, either way, yeah, I could see Jay doing big on either show, honestly, Raw or SmackDown, regardless of whether Roman's there or not. Although being on SmackDown would definitely propel him to the top a lot faster. I mean, if his goal is to become a world champion, SmackDown definitely would be the place to be for that. Because, I mean, honestly, Roman and Cody seem to have, if they're both going to Raw, I feel like they have the title picture over there unlocked for a good long time.
Yep.
Brandon, did you have anybody else you wanted to bring up going to SmackDown?
Dirty Dom. I mean, if Liv's going to go over there, maybe Dirty Dom follows suit and he comes more into his own over there, away from the Judgment Day. I don't see Lito following. I would hope Carlito would stay like on Raw, as well as Finn and JD both. So that's what I was saying. Like Liv and Dom kind of branch off and do their own thing on SmackDown until Dom's done with her. And he wants to be super dirty about it and maybe start winning titles, whether that's the US title or, he gets a kind of a shot, another more fair, more serious shot at the world title. Maybe not to win it, but definitely to put himself, higher up in contendership. But I mean, SmackDown was his dad's show too, and I mean, he's been doing a lot to, avoid comparisons to his dad, and it's been doing a great job at it. But, I think it'd be a neat, especially if you want to move Dom into gradually to more of a face role, or at least an anti-heel, an anti-face role rather. I feel like you could still get some allusions to the fact that Ray was very successful on SmackDown, and then here comes Dom shooting up the ladder all on his own, making Papa proud. I feel like they could bring that dynamic back in a positive light on SmackDown. The relationship between Dom and Ray, without obviously making it look like Ray's overshadowing Dom or anything like that.
Mm. Anybody else, or can we go on to who goes to Raw?
The Miz maybe. Maybe. He won't get his 9th IC title, but
no.
Let's get Raw.
Who's going to Raw? LA Knight?
Yes. Yeah. What am I saying? Fucking amateur hour over here.
Jesus. I set it up for
yes,
you.
indeed.
Yeah.
I actually didn't have him going.
You don't have LA Knight going there, eh?
I could see it.
Who you got?
I don't think it necessarily matters where he goes. I think he will stand out because he's such a unique presence on the roster. So
I think he's
The Rock shows up anyway.
He's another Netflix promo just waiting to happen. That's my logic there on LA Knight. So I think LA Knight goes to Raw.
You can all fuck off. Yeah.
Exactly.
I just want to see another Shoes of a Champion promo where he's drunk on camera.
Just get him the dummy button back. That's what we need. He needs the dummy button back. He
needs a gimmick.
Who else?
The returning Charlotte Flair.
Yeah, I agree. If the champions make the move, Nia and or Tiffany, I think Charlotte goes too. Which, can we say then by proxy Andrade does too?
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
If not LA Knight, I would have definitely said Andrade for sure.
El Idolo.
Andrade in the IC title picture would be really good. I think him and Braun would have some really good matches.
Oh, dude.
Great.
Who else?
Well, I mean, if Jimmy's going to be on Raw, then I feel like Naomi would be one to go there as well.
Yeah.
That's why I was tentative to even say like Bianca and Jade staying on SmackDown, because I could easily see them both going to Raw too. And if Naomi were to be part of that mix, you could still continue that storyline where they left off on SmackDown and do the whodunit thing.
Yeah, the only negative I see to that, to your point, the whodunit thing is if you keep Jade and Bianca on SmackDown, I think you got to keep Naomi there too, because I think it's Naomi who took out Jade.
And that's why I'm saying they should all go to Raw.
I thought we had just said they weren't going to go to Raw, or someone said they were going to stay. Because I said,
well, Pierce had the idea they were going to be staying on SmackDown, but I feel like, especially if you got all these other gals, like if Liv and Becky, in my opinion, were to go to Raw, I think Bianca and Rhea, and especially like with Bianca on Raw, you can continue to build up her star. You can get more exposure for Jade, and you can gradually start to build up to Rhea and Bianca over the next year.
Yep.
Because they'll be on the same show. They will not come into contact with each other, I don't think, much. They already did a little bit of a thing. I think that was the seed being planted, but I think we get to see that flourish more over the next year, which hopefully leads to a Mania 42 match. But I feel like in order to get that to happen, I feel like Bianca's got to make the jump.
If Jade and Bianca move, does that mean that the Street Profits move? I hate playing the couples game, but you kind of have to.
I mean, yeah, it's maybe. I mean, if Tiff is going to be going to Raw, it's probably because Ludwig's there. You know what I mean?
well, that's an
You
interesting
make
one we
all
didn't
these
talk about. We talked about Gunther going to SmackDown, but
I think Ludwig
Ludwig.
should stay
they're
on
already on
Raw.
separate shows though, so I don't think they're so like bound to being traveling together yet at this point.
Yeah, no, I think Ludwig would stay on Raw while Gunther goes to SmackDown. I think that's how Gunther would want it, both in character and probably at this point in real life,
Mm.
just to see his friend get a chance at success without being overshadowed. That's how I see it in my head canon, anyways. But who's to say?
Pierce, you were gonna say something?
I think Ludwig should stay on Raw. Him and
Yeah.
Gunther should have the clean break, and I think it would just be beneficial for both their careers and would help Ludwig grow into hopefully at some point a main event talent.
Okay. Anybody else you wanted to talk about from SmackDown going to Raw?
Kevin Owens.
Well, if he's gonna feud with Sami Zayn, that would make sense.
I mean, they were bound to have a Mania match anyway.
What
Have they already
about
had one?
podcast favorite Austin Theory? I'm surprised there's no opinions on that.
Well, my opinion is I don't care where he goes.
Wow.
They ship him back down to NXT. No, I'm just kidding.
That's not-
Um, he takes the slide down back with Grayson Waller. I think no, I think he stays. He ain't ready for Raw yet. I mean, I think SmackDown would be a good place for him to start to come into his own more. Him and Grayson both. I mean, if they're going to take the
Split them
opportunity
up
to really
already.
build these
Good
guys,
grief.
I mean, God, it's just they could be they can go their own way. I mean, they're both going to be. They both have the potential to be big single stars in their own right. And I think honestly, too, like SmackDown will just be the better spot for Austin to kind of resume development in his singles career. Yeah, I think that's the safest bet.
And one more name I'm going to bring up because he kind of goes along with the champion too, as I've been speculating for a very long time, and that's Randy Orton. I think
Yeah,
Randy Orton
probably.
goes. If he's feuding with
Yeah,
Cody, he's got to go over with Cody.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Randy's big thing is going to be chasing the big belt, the WWE Championship, for his projected last 2 or maybe 3 title reigns, however many he needs to
I
get
don't.
past the play.
I'm gonna say something here. I don't think we talk. So, sometimes it gets brought up that people are chasing specific titles, and in some cases that might be warranted. In the case of Cody getting his first title, it makes sense for it to be the main title because of the story with his father and all this and that. For guys that have won both rosters titles multiple times, I don't think it's necessary that he needs to chase a particular belt more so than he needs to have a compelling feud with a particular person. And I think that compelling feud for him to have with that person is obviously with Cody Rhodes.
Because he already had
Sure.
the compelling feud with Gunther. Their feud was great for the one pay-per-view they did.
Yeah, like I don't think it has anything to do with the belts, and I don't mean to cut you down on that idea so much, but like there's some cases where absolutely it's warranted for them to chase a particular belt. I think you mentioned it
Sure.
earlier on with John Cena. It's like, oh, he has to have the WWE title. I don't know that he does. I think just getting a
Well,
title doesn't matter which one, as long as it's a compelling story to get him there.
yeah, I mean, in the case of Cena though, I feel like if he's getting the 17th and it puts him head and shoulders above everyone else that came before him, if it puts him above Ric Flair, I feel like when it comes to representing the WWE brand like he has through all these years, they're going to want the pictures of that moment, especially with the Hall of Fame coming up too. If they ever made a physical Hall of Fame, they're going to want the picture of him holding up the WWE Championship as the one that they put in there for his number 17. That's my thought on it.
I'm just going to give you a hot take. As far as I'm concerned, the physical Hall of Fame is in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. That's the only place where they have it. That's the only place where they have.
I mean, categorically,
that's the
the
only place
WWE
where
experience,
they have
right?
Yay! I don't care if you don't like it. That's the only place where people can actually
Shut
go
up,
as
bitch.
tourists
Oh!
to see
It's a direction you can fuck.
legitimate WWE history. So suck it, Pierce. Smash all the buttons you want. That's where it is right now. It's in Jeddah,
Oh, yeah,
Saudi
guy.
Arabia.
Hall of Fame's in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, buddy.
I knew he'd like that one.
Oh man,
I could feel the warm heat movement coming from Wisconsin as I was saying it.
It is fucking cold today, Donnie.
Yeah,
but
there's
you
no
generated
heat here at all.
You generated enough heat for me to feel it in Toronto.
No, right now you are generating the heat. I'm in Canada, buddy. We get warm, buddy. Oh, I say, guy.
Hey, you taste that Aztec hair? Yeah, feels good on your nipples.
What else from NXT is happening? We brought up one guy so far. Who else from
Ethan
NXT?
Page is a gimme.
I think Ethan Page is a gimme too. I don't know where he ends up, but I think it's a gimme that he gets called up.
SmackDown.
Sure.
Page to Raw. Page to Raw. I think he's got some unfinished business with Punk that they can muster some sort of a mini storyline out of. Not enough to distract Punk from what he's ultimately doing, but enough to give
a good main
Page
event on a weekly
association.
show. Yeah.
Yeah, enough to give Page an immediate association with a star and to give him the rub the right way on the main roster coming in.
Agree.
Because I don't know who else he has that with on SmackDown. But
my Raw call-ups are Roxanne Perez and Cora Jade.
I agree with that.
Yep. Yeah, Team 2001 up to Raw. That's what I would say too.
I feel,
and especially well, dude, that's what they call themselves. I didn't pick the name for them, but it does. Yeah, dude, they've never known a world before 9/11. Isn't that fucking wild? Sorry, I'm not going to go down the old man like looking off into space route.
I think Lash.
Remember the 90s?
I think Lash Legend and Carl Jackson go to SmackDown, or they go wherever Jade and Bianca go.
I mean, they could bring up the whole metaphor.
Wow, the corpse of Noam Dar and whatever the hell Ora Mensa is doing.
I love Noam Dar, man.
I love Noam Dar too. Don't get me wrong. I think he's very entertaining, but he's still recovering from whatever injury it was that he had. I
think metaphor on SmackDown's not a bad idea. I mean, I don't see them necessarily. I see them being kind of like the foil to Bianca and Jade. Like they can still challenge for women's tag titles from SmackDown, but
or
I mean,
from
I
NXT
feel like
still. But I think they've already been featured on that roster a fair amount. It would make sense for them to get the official call up.
Right. And I think Team 2001, their thing on Raw is ultimately going to be AJ Lee. And that's, again, associating to Punk, who I think has got too much business being on Raw to leave.
It's not going to happen, Brandon.
What? AJ Lee?
It's not going to happen.
She's
if anything,
not coming back.
If anything, it's a one-off, and that means nothing more than that. So I don't think tying it to... That's a very, very big... That's a hot take Emporium take.
Oh, okay.
I mean... back for maybe a Rumble and a Hall of Fame induction. That's it.
And maybe a Mania match. No way she's
I could see a Mania match.
Television.
Yeah, maybe not yet anyways. I mean, that's the thing is like, especially with Punk returning, and I feel like that's what you could say about that too, is never say never, because I never saw Punk coming back to WWE personally. Even with Vince gone.
And everybody in AEW decided to poke the bear.
That took a very special combination of variables for CM Punk to come back.
It took leaks, incompetence, and Jack Perry.
In real glass.
That's lumped into Jack Perry.
Well, it's still real glass.
We'll say this. I think we can compromise on this much. I could see them at least bringing in AJ Lee long enough to have a program with Rox, who, AJ Lee is Rox's childhood hero, enough to put over both Rox and Cora Jade as legitimate on the main roster. Not like you necessarily need it, but I think it would be a huge dream come true thing that AJ, I feel, would possibly be talked into doing for both of them.
Yeah, and I see a tag match there with Bayley.
And there's been commentary too. Like if whatever's been said by Punk online is to be believed, like people have said that Punk has said that AJ still does kind of have some desire to come back, but obviously, like he said in the past too, he can't really talk too much for her as she talks for herself. But I don't know, man. I just have this feeling, like you said earlier, Pierce. I just got a feeling.
I think it's a hot take,
You know?
but it could happen. You could see a tag match there.
The Emporium is not open, Brandon.
All right, I'll bring it up at the quarterly.
Any other guys getting the move up? Fraxium, Trick Williams, Obafemi,
Andre Chase.
Chase U, or Andre Chase.
Wherever Alpha Academy is.
No. So the current iteration of, if you listen back to it, it was the iteration of Chase U must disband. But if you watched NXT a couple weeks ago and you saw that Andre Chase video of him packing up, there was a mystery person calling out to him. So that story is not yet finished.
Oh God! Why do we have to finish all the stories?
You can't just leave them open. Otherwise, people clamor for 10 years.
Anybody else?
Well,
Luke Gallows,
I wanted
Carl
my
Anderson.
Shelton Benjamin World Championship story to be finished, and never will.
I mean, it never started, so.
Quiet up there in Canada. Be quiet in the peanut gallery.
God, Gallows and Anderson, man. Maybe they become trainers or something. I feel like they got the bag.
Yeah.
I don't see them. Maybe if it's AJ's last run, maybe they tag back with him wherever he happens to be, SmackDown or Raw. I feel like they got to do something with God just as kind of a tribute to the Marks. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't
tribute to the club.
You keep bringing up God too, and it's like, man, Tongaloa is like dead in the water.
Now he's literally dead in the water.
Like, come on, man. You can't expect any sort of long-term booking with Tongaloa the way that he's been presented since he debuted in WWE.
The guy's a ding dong, but it's funny.
He is kind of the unsung hero, the unsung comedy act of the current bloodline.
I would say Solo is now. Solo's quite comical.
We're back to murder Solo right now.
Well, he's fully sung. I appreciate Solo. I might even love Solo. I'll just never acknowledge Solo.
Wow.
So I'll just leave it at that.
There's other names.
Acknowledge the man.
Tony D.
Nah.
Ridge Holland.
Oh no.
But
Sol Ruka.
Dempsey. Sol Ruka is a good one.
I see Sol Ruka to SmackDown.
I think Sol's gonna cook a little bit longer. I think she's post-Mania.
You know who's someone who doesn't actually need to cook any longer, but probably will just because of the recency bias? Is Stephanie Vaquer. You cannot tell me she's not ready for main roster right now.
Say the same about Julia.
No.
I think it's just a matter of getting them like camera ready, and once that's established without shadow of a doubt, then the main roster talk starts to happen. I think they get done with NXT before mid-25. I will say that.
And Jordan Grace. Let's just rip the Band-Aid off that, too. Let's just get Jordan Grace called up. She doesn't need to be in NXT.
TNA's loss is TNA's loss, man.
It is what it is.
But I mean, it's like, yeah, she couldn't have done anything more on TNA, I gather. I know.
That's the...
I guess you could also...
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, it's for another show, I'm sure, but you could probably also speculate on guys like Jonathan Gresham making appearances too, if Jordan Grace is going to be hanging around.
Jonathan Gresham and
I believe
Ethan Page would make a pretty good tag team.
Or you could bring back Josh Alexander and reunite the North. His contract's up in 2 months.
True. I mean, if that's the route they really want to go, if they don't see a path forward for a hot single start for Ethan.
Oh, they do. They 100% do.
That's what I'm saying. Like, where does Josh fit into that? Because I feel like him and Ethan are pretty polar opposite when it comes to personality. And a lot of other things too, but particularly personality.
Mm-hmm.
Josh is way too rough. That's why I'm like, if Josh were to leave, my thought would and hope would have been that he would have like signed on to. I know they're not probably going to offer exclusivity contracts for Maple Leaf Pro anytime soon, but to be the ace of that promotion, I feel like he'd fit that like a glove.
They still don't even have
But
another show announced yet, do they?
no, I haven't heard or seen anything.
Yeah,
I even asked them on their
there.
Twitter page. Yeah, it'd be nice to hear though, because I thought it had some promise, but we'll see.
I think that covers most of our show for today. Next week we'll talk about what happened on Saturday night's main event and any other potential transfer portal moves. It'll be our last episode before the holidays. We might talk about AEW. They're doing Winter is Coming tonight for all 4,000 people
Oh,
or
that's tonight?
18,000.
There
Yeah.
are not many people there.
4,000 people in an 18,000 person arena. Not a good
Oh
look
my
there, Tony.
golly!
Hey, but
Well,
they
he
do
brought
have
that on
Claudio
himself.
versus Will, and that match is going to be fucking awesome.
Sure,
Something, flip, something, guy.
sure.
Something uppercut, something Ricola, something broken neck, Hulk up. Will gets the win.
I kind of see Claudio getting the dub.
And not honestly though. I mean, in that sense, I mean like he's gonna cheat, or someone's gonna help him cheat. But damn though, 4,000 people for Winter is Coming, and that used to be one of the more highly touted AEW specials too. Oofda.
But they can't stop stepping on their own feet. But that is a
Oh, yeah, we
topic.
didn't even talk about Ray Phoenix, man, who deleted his tweets today.
Oh yeah, that's probably smart.
Probably the NDA is coming.
Yeah,
The
that's what I
release of the
thought.
NDA. Yeah, that's my guess.
Maybe it's an NDA with a release.
Yeah, that's what that's what I meant. Yeah, I don't think they're going to reward that kind of behavior by putting him on TV.
Nah.
So
Yeah, at this juncture, and the talk's already that Penta's already signed. Whether or not that's true, I guess we'll see in the next couple weeks here. But
could see it as early as Friday.
Could. Yeah, they're rumored that he could be gearing up with Shinsuke.
Yeah, the match with Carmelo Hayes.
Yeah, that's been put on the table too.
Oh, Carmelo Hayes versus Penta would be sick.
But yeah, we might bring
Penta
a little bit of
a lot of
Christmas
people.
jingle next week too, Brandon. If you want to talk about your days of Christmas or bring up something else Christmas related, it seems like a good time to do it.
Oh yeah, love me some Christmas. You know that.
Yeah. Yeah. So not a lot on the sched for next week, but that'd be enough stuff to poke around, and then we'll have a lot once we come back after the holidays with World's End and Netflix debut and all that stuff. So
I feel like we could definitely talk about a couple of highlights from this calendar year. Like not enough to take us out to like the 3-hour territory or no crazy shit like that. But I feel like since it's going to be the last show of 2024 that we do,
yeah,
kind of looking over
best
what made this year special. Yeah.
Yeah, we can do a best of.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, that figures out what we're going to do next week too. So,
Right.
Look at that.
Thanks everyone for listening. And who wants to say anything else before we get sent home?
I blew my load.
All right, Pierce.
Out of all the things you could say, Brandon, phrasing, my friend.
Yeah. First thing that came to mind. Sorry.
As always, thanks for stopping into the Ope-Eh 3-way. Have a beer on us. We'll see you next time. Happy holidays. Have a wonderful night.